What is a surface Christian? Like, I mean, it's almost an oxymoron. Like
And this is
you
what.
either, you either saved or you not.
But here's what becomes the thing: is I think what we don't take into consideration being in California is the fact that we have whole other parts of the countries where the culture and the tradition is to go to church, right? We're from an African American culture. Of course, a lot of us have gone to church. But people in the Bible Belt, white, black, whatever, indifferent, they all go to church. And yet you probably have more people in the Bible Belt that go to church that aren't really followers. And that's what I mean by that. He's like, okay, you're Christian by culture, but you're not Christian in your heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, for instance, like I have Filipino friends that are Catholic by tradition, but they don't really live a Catholic or a Christian life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's more so a label than anything, right? Like,
It's more so, well, I'm expected to do this, so I'm just going to do it.
yeah.
And I think that and I use the term surface level Christian, meaning like I know how to go through the motions, but I don't know the intimacy of relationship with God. And so it's just like, I don't want my kids to know how to act Christian in public, but act crazy in private.
Right.
And that kind of, for me, kind of shows, for me and my experience, especially in our family, is like, I want my kids to see my interaction. Of course, there's some boundaries that we need to have with my interactions with my wife, but I want them to see me be affectionate with my wife. I want them to see me and her argue. I want them to see that, hey, there are certain things that we don't watch.
Yeah.
Because mommy and daddy, especially as pastors in the church, aren't going to be super saved and sanctified in public, but doing whatever in private or in the home. Because I think that's what ultimately shapes our kids is, are they being the same people everywhere and not just in a place where they're seen? Do they have real integrity? And I think integrity is one of those building blocks into shaping and raising our children. It's like, it's not just, hey, do what I say, not what I do, but hey, this is how we live. This is what we believe. And yeah.
Right, that because it's funny that you mentioned that because I think I was telling you, Jericho and I were over at a friend's house, and this other individual, he was there, and you know, he heard the conversation that me and my friend were having, just in general, kind of talking about our kids and stuff and whatnot, and he made a comment about how some young men that he is involved with, and he was talking to them. He's like, man, asking them like, why don't y'all listen to your dad? And they were like, you know, basically in essence, it summed up to the fact that, you know, our dad tells us to do one thing, but he lives a completely different thing. And he was like, man, you know, it made him feel kind of, you know, made him feel some kind of way about it, because he was like, you know, man, I know if I was a father, I would want to know, like, how my kids are feeling about, you know, about me. And he was just saying like, man, it was just really, he was really seeing the importance of like how being a parent, how important it is for you to have integrity, you know what I'm saying, and to be the example for your kids. It's funny because recently Ivy's been like, you know, he might come across like a reel or a meme or something like that, and he'll like shoot it to me on IG or something like that. And what's funny, man, he sent me this reel, and I don't know if you guys seen, but you know Tiger Woods' son plays golf, right?
Yeah.
And he sent me the reel of Tiger Woods with the split screen with his son. And I'm like, bro, it looks like he's his avatar. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Because their mannerisms are the same, their stance is the same. That, you know, they even sit there and they like ponder whatever the predicament is the same way. And just basically in essence, it was kind of like, I can't even remember if there was a caption that said it, but like the message I got when I saw it, and it was ironically coming from my son, was like, parents, understand that your kids want to be like you. So make sure that you're great. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it just felt like it was a message that he indirectly was sending to me, was like, man, like, Dad, keep striving for greatness, because I want to be great.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the things that you were saying, like, that is going to be the greatest deterrent of your kids being, saved at church and then wild in secret, is the fact that you give them vision and you teach them to have vision, right? Teach them that God has a plan and a purpose for their life. Teach them what his vision, to seek what his vision is for their life. Because what happens, why do people get wild, is because they have no vision. They cast off restraint. They don't, there's nothing to restrain them or constrain them. So they just wild and they with whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is that if you have vision, it helps anchor you to your purpose and to what it is that you've been called and designed to do. And so, in essence, you have to make sure that as a parent, because I look at some parents and I see that it seems like they've come to a place where it's like, yeah, my life is just to work and pay some bills and, and raise these kids. And that's what it is. And while that is in general, that's like to me, what would be considered your reasonable service. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
The thing is that, like, if you take on that mindset and that mentality, you're basically subconsciously and indirectly teaching your kids that this is the finish line. And they'll grow up to do the same thing, maybe just a little bit better. But for me, when I got that revelation and started understanding that, and I saw that perspective, I was like, man, I'm going to do my best to keep pushing this finish line as far out as possible. I'm going to keep driving and I'm going to keep pushing until I have nothing left. I literally want to die empty. I literally want to be to the point where, that's why my dream is so big that it's going to be too huge for me to accomplish on my own. And they're going to have to carry it on, right? They're going to have to keep pushing and do what's necessary to carry it the rest of the way. And hopefully it'll be big enough to where they won't be able to finish it and the next generation will come on and carry it. Like, it'll be passed down like the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really trying to keep pushing that line seriously. And that's what I told a group of, Jericho's teammates. We all went to a game like about a week ago, and I was in the car with them, and I'm like, man, they were going back and forth amongst themselves, as young men do, because they desire to be great, right? And so they're doing their best to try and push each other, but because of immaturity and stuff, they don't push each other quite the right way. They end up pushing buttons and they pointing fingers at each other, and so ultimately
you suck.
Right. And so the conversation came up of like, man, I'm giving 100 and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, you got to understand that not everybody's 100% looks the same. Right. And so when you say that you're giving your 100, you can't do it in such a way that you're making it seem like nobody else is giving 100. Right. But you can't measure whether somebody's giving 100% by the way this certain play turned out. Let's go to things that are actually measurable. Like, for instance, had a car full of 6 football players, and out of those 6 football players, only 2 of y'all showed up to film. Why is that? You ain't giving 100%. Because you had no good excuse as to why you didn't show up for film. Sitting in the car with those same 6 football players, and the week before, only 2 of y'all showed up to weightlifting. Y'all wouldn't give it 100%. Those are the things that you can measure by. So I explained to them, I said, dude, you have to look at everything as an opportunity that you've been blessed with. It's an opportunity. Your position should be played so well that it makes no sense to the coach for him to think of somebody else to come in and sub you with, right? Sub for you. I said, that's how I'm living my life. I'm living my life in such a way that I'm going to take care of myself to where I can play my position. I don't want nobody else coming in and subbing and raising my kids. I don't want nobody else coming in and subbing and being a husband to my wife. I don't want nobody else subbing and coming in building a leg. I'm going to play my position for as long as humanly possible. Yeah. That's why I get up in the dark of the morning to go and work out, because I know it's going to make me better and it's going to make me harder to kill.
Thanks.
I'm going to go and do 250 yards worth of sled pushes every week, because I ain't training for nobody's combine, but I just know that it helps me to break the mental barriers of pushing myself to go as far as possibly can. To when I've only done 25 yards and I feel like quitting and throwing up, you know what I'm saying, that I keep pressing, because there may be something that's going to come up and hit me out of nowhere that's going to make me want to quit. And I know that there's something good that's going to come on the other side of it.
That's good.
I think it's a quote that came up that kind of like touches on that, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that we can't just be the, oh, do it because I said so, you know.
Absolutely.
It's like, no. If you're going to tell them to do it, like, are you really doing it? Are you really about it? A quote that really spoke to that I heard recently was, no amount of success can make up for failure inside the home. No amount of success can make up for failure inside the home. And it's like, dang.
That's heavy.
Like, it's heavy. You know, it's heavy. And it makes you want to parent with integrity. It makes you want to be the same person that you are in church. You want to be that same person on the road, in the car,
right?
You know what I mean, at the house, so on and so forth. But I think it has to be cohesive, it has to be coherent, it has to all be one.
Let's backtrack for just a second. And I just thought about something. A conversation I was having with some random on Twitter. This is years ago. But I think I had just shared like something that was on my heart, like from reading the Bible or something, and I had posted it on Twitter. You know how it goes. You tweet some deep thought that you have. But anyways, I posted it, and some random answered me and responded to me, and I can't even remember what I said, but he basically responded and said, that's probably because you've probably been indoctrinated since birth. That's why you believe what you believe. And I had responded to him like, you know, to an extent, maybe you're right, but I was like, I was raised in the church. I've been in church my whole life, but I came to a point in my adulthood where I accepted Jesus for myself. So here's what I want to ask you guys is, let's just look from the outside looking in, somebody that doesn't know and hold our values, somebody that doesn't know God, somebody that isn't a part of a church. What would you say to someone who would more or less say, well, what you're doing is indoctrination. You're just teaching your kids. Here's the definition right here. To teach someone to fully accept the ideas, opinions, and beliefs of a particular group and to not consider other ideas, opinions, and beliefs. What would you say to somebody that would more or less accuse you of indoctrinating your children or indoctrinating the people that are around you?
What was read that one part again of the definition you said, and not considering other?
So it says to teach someone to fully accept the ideas, opinions, and beliefs of a particular group and to not consider other ideas, opinions, and beliefs.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, kids are smart. Kids are actually really smart.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, like, once someone has kids, like, your kids will, Mommy, Daddy, well, why do you tell me to take my shoes off when I come to the house, but you don't take your shoes off? You know, it's like, it's not that easy to quote unquote indoctrinate, to get them to fully buy into the program, whatever the program is. If you're not doing it yourself, there's going to be there's going to be feedback. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's not going to be full compliance or even belief in whatever it is that you're saying is true. But what I will say is, I don't think that there's anything wrong with me directing my kids in the way that they should go, especially if it's in the ways that are of God and are really like, it's true. Mm-hmm. It's 100. If it's truth, it's truth. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, at the end of the day, my kids still have their own mind, and I know that I like that aspect about my kids, that they have their own mind. We're open to conversation. I like to hear their thoughts. I like to hear their whys behind things. It's not the traditional because I said so. Mm-hmm. We used to get shut down a lot You know what I mean? And when you shut down a lot by the people who you want to get the game from, like if a lot of times I was asking why is because I really, really wanted to know. And I know now as a parent, sometimes we don't give those whys because either we don't know ourselves or we're frustrated, tired, impatient. It's like, just because I said so. I don't feel like going down this path with you right now, you know? But we are intentionally trying to actually go there and let them know the whys behind. And I feel like that allows them to continue to like build their mind, who they are, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't say it's indoctrination. I would just say it's full exposure. You know what I mean? They're just being exposed. This is the way that we doing things.
You know anything, Donald?
I would say that for some parents, they are raising their kids like that. They are indoctrinating them. But I think anybody who is like seriously biblically raising and training up their child in the way they should go couldn't possibly be indoctrinating because God didn't even treat us that way.
Yeah.
He doesn't even tell us not to consider, you know what I'm saying, anything else outside of what. If anything, he does it in a way of where he teaches us and reveals himself in a direct contrast to those things that are you know, to the other ways of living. He specifically says don't do like such and such does. Right. It's not like don't even look over there. Just keep he's like don't do like such and such does because of blah blah blah. He says, but instead do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think ultimately it boils down to us understanding the fact that doing good is not doing bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people who parent their kids all about not doing bad, and that's what makes you good. Rather than showing them what is good and telling them to do this.
Facts.
Do good. Right? Do good, not just don't be bad, and that'll make you good. And I think that's what happens for a lot of us. Some of us have been raised that way, like, don't do that because bad people do that.
Because then it becomes subjective.
Right. It becomes subjective, and then it also brings about like a self-righteousness because you're like, oh, a false sense of comparison. Okay, oh, I don't do that, so I'm not bad. You know what I mean? And that's where we get this whole sense of like, oh, I'm a good person. But when you really look at it, Scripture says ain't nobody good, man.
Right.
Yeah, and even to chime in on that, I think also too as a parent is to be able to like set a standard and then also acknowledge when we miss the mark as well. You know what I mean? For the kid to be able to say like on a minor scale. So when me and Nadia are having conversation and it sounds like an argument, or maybe it is an argument.
I think you said too many RRRs to right. It was an arg. He didn't want to let argument out.
Soul will be in the back. She'll be in the back seat or at the kitchen table, and she'll be like, "Do I hear arguing? Are you guys arguing?"
Mariah comes in. She smiles. She thinks it's funny. She's like, "No, guys, stop! Stop, guys, stop it!"
You know, and it's like in those moments to say, you know what, so. When we were arguing, saying, you know, we apologize. Daddy shouldn't have been talking to mommy like that. Mommy shouldn't have called. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be able to acknowledge our fault too, because also what it lets them know is, hey, you don't have to be perfect. Daddy's not perfect. I'm not trying to put up like I'm perfect because I'm not. Right. Same with mommy. There is a standard that we, no matter how hard we try, can live all the way up to. We can't. We're going to fall short. So let us sit back and acknowledge our shortcomings so you could do the same, but then still say, yeah, that is the standard. Daddy misses the mark too. You know what I mean? And I think that's key. I think that's key.
That's dope, man.
You gotta what I'm learning now, especially, you know, that my daughters are getting older is trying to make sure that I'm the husband to my wife that I want them to have.
Right.
That's the major task at hand. And like you said, when it comes to the way that I talk to her, the way that I deal with her when maybe I'm not in the best of moods or I'm not in the best of spaces, right? That like am I being short with her? Am I treating her like she's bothersome? You know what I'm saying? Because that'll program them to believe that, okay, well, that's okay and that's normal. You know, that's okay for my man to be able to treat me like that or talk to me like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm working on being better. Like even to the point of the fact of like one of the things I hate, and I'm gonna just let you, what had happened was one of the things I hate, man, like 75% of my kids is in high school. 75% of my kids just had homecoming.
3/4 of the Johnsons.
3/4 of the Johnsons. Hey, just had homecoming, man, which meant dough was being spent. You know what I'm saying?
Tuxes.
And so fortunately I didn't have to pay as much as you know some had to, but I still was, you know, it still was a stretch, father stretch. But
Part 1.
nonetheless, man, an unexpected expense came up, and I was peeved about it. I was bothered by it, right? But I had to stop and take a breath and really assess the situation. And I was like, man, you know what? Being more upset, I had to evaluate and say, you know what? I'm more upset at the fact of what it's cost me emotionally than the cost itself in my pocketbook. What I'm saying is I'm more mad at the fact that it's cost me the energy of being bothered by this than what was subtracted from my bank account.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's to the point where I'm at, because the thing is, man, is like I've been young, I'm getting older, and God has never forsaken me. I've had unexpected expenses come up before, and it didn't put me out on the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was actually able to go ahead and pay for whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it was the end of me or anything like that. But yet, emotionally, I was acting like it was. You know what I mean? And so that's the part that I'm at right now, man, because the thing is, like, ultimately, I know things are not always going to be tight like this. And I honestly believe that my attitude, shifting my attitude while things are tight like this, is going to bring about me getting to the place where things are going to be in a place of plenty and bounty. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not tripping off the small stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you tripping off of giving right now when you barely have anything, how much more are you going to be tripping when you got a whole lot more?
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to be even more stingy, right? And so just shifting my mindset, man, like breaking the impoverished mindset off.
Yeah.
Of thinking that, oh, man, if I give this up, then, man, where's the next going to come from? That's not my concern because I'm not my provider.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so ultimately it's like, again, showing me as a father, I'm a representative to them of who their heavenly father is. Mm-hmm. And so when they come and ask for something, if I'm like, oh, bent out of shape because they need something, they ain't gonna want to come to the Father and ask for anything.
Right.
And that goes to the whole thing of like, we literally are being the example. Like if we exhibit great faith, right? If we exhibit great faith, if we exhibit total dependence on God, we exhibit a life that is lived where we're not leaning on our own understanding, but acknowledging God in everything that we do, our kids will follow suit. And somebody had told me a long time ago, man, kids are just a mirror. They're a mirror. And so whatever you see in them that is bothering you is probably more than likely that you're like that.
Bothered by yourself.
Right. Because you probably the same type of child to him as they are to you.
Right.
That's facts, man.
Rough.
Well, since we were talking about homecoming and we talked about the spending of the money and we talked about all that stuff, how did you feel as a dad seeing your 16-year-olds and your 14-year-old look so
15.
grown. 15?
15,
15, my bad. Sorry, Rama.
16s and 15.
How'd you feel as a dad to see your babies,
Man,
especially since they're so close in age?
it felt good seeing, you know, Jericho dressed up, man. He cleans up very nice. Shoot, man, seeing my daughters, I'm gonna just say straight up, my daughters look too old. They look too old, and the only reason why they were even able to leave the house is because Jericho's with them. Only reason. Only reason they were able to leave the house. It did, man. It just, like I said, it made me, as a father of, you know, these young blossoming ladies, to really evaluate myself as a man and what it is, the message that I'm sending to them as a man. And, you know, I just, you know, it made me that much more aware of the fact of, you know, that they're beautiful young ladies, even more so. Like, that's why I'm a huge proponent of them not wearing makeup or anything, which is, you know, common for girls their age. But I'm like, y'all are already naturally beautiful, and you don't need any more. You guys are already, guys find you attractive as it is, and you don't need no more enhancement to your attraction. You know what I'm saying? So it was, man. It was a coming of age situation for me, man, because, you know, I'm that dad, man. It brought out that, you know, protector, that covering.
Did you cry though?
No, I didn't cry, but I was ready to shoot somebody if necessary. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, bust a cap.
Did you have a combo with Jericho? Like you said, they wouldn't have left. Did you pull him to the side and like, hey?
Nah, he already know what's up. Anytime they leave the house, like that's, you know what I'm saying, that's your priority, man. Not you know what I'm saying, not entertaining the ladies or none of that stuff, man. Your priority is make sure you got, you know what I'm saying, tabs on where your sisters are, and make sure the riffraff know what's up.
Yeah.
Which has pretty much been the case. Like, you know, at school, the you know, folks know, you know, with Jericho celebrity, man, they like, you know,
Jericho celebrity.
Jericho is a you know, a local celebrity, man, and so they know who his sisters are, and they know that comes with a heavy you know what I'm saying, some heavy consequences if you know it goes there. So
Did you ever have that experience in high school at all? Like the interaction between, like, because what's the difference between you and Novi? Age difference?
So Novi was, when I was, I think, a senior, she was a freshman.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
You had a good space then.
yeah. So it was like a little space between us. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't even end up going to school together.
Oh, okay.
We didn't even end up going to school together. By that time, I was already in continuation school. So
It's just funny to me because I just remember one instance in high school with my stepsister talking about getting my boys trying to hem somebody up. It was being dumb. And then just recently I heard through the grapevine that Judah was talking about hemming somebody up because apparently Judah went to Drew and was like, oh, man, we got to go handle something real quick because somebody's pushing up on Heaven. And Heaven's like, bro, chill out. Chill out. What if I told on you?
Yeah.
And then he got quiet, I guess. But that's just the interesting thing, a brother trying to protect his sister, because it's kind of like, man, don't be talking to my sister kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the circle of life sometimes, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, do you want a 6'3", 300-pound young whippersnapper all up in your business, or you gonna just respect the wishes?
Right.
You know, and that's pretty much what it is. So that's how it goes, man. But it's crazy seeing the kids grow up, man. Yeah, it was kind of surreal seeing that, because especially like with the fact that Jericho and Wisdom, the twins, they were preemies, so it's like weird just seeing them like regular sized people. You know what I mean? Because man, no joke. Because you know, Wisdom, when she was born, she was small enough to fit in my hand. So just to see, you know, how they've been fine, man. They've blossomed into some awesome individuals, and so
Can only imagine. I
yeah.
don't want to think about it because I was thinking about that the other day too. Because John's birthday just passing. I'm thinking about he was like on the brink. Of course, he was like a month early, but like he was on the brink of going to the NICU, and so it was kind of thing where he's a small guy anyways, but bro was tiny when he came out. And so it was just kind of like one of those things where I low-key forget about it sometimes. So I see pictures and I'm like, wow, praise God. Like, that could have went a whole other way, but God kept both my kids, actually, and my wife. That's why she's like, we done.
Good old intervention cry.
Right?
On that note,
Just say it, bro. On that note, looking like, just say it. Say
what?
to end the episode.
Let's end it. Let's end it, man. You boys.
You look like you fading, bro. Fading. No clippers.
No clippers. No blend. Hard
No
line.
blend. No lineup.
No blend. No line. Hard
Baldy.
line.
0. All
Bowl cut. No guard. Bowl cut. Peanut.
Man's over here sleep drunk.
Yeah. They over here tripping. They're delirious.
I ain't
Anyhow,
delirious. I'm good, boy.
Josh is over here delirious.
I am, and I'm
Fading.
low key getting over it. You feel me? So
You getting over
Starting hitting me.
the
Keep that over there because I was
getting over the Rona.
dodging all the cooties. Sorry to my wife, but I was.
Doing the was it the Lil Kim?
Right.
Heck of funny, man. Yep. Well, that's another episode of Watch Me Develop. I've been your host, Don the Blaptist, a.k.a. West Coast Dad, a.k.a. The Joke, a.k.a. you know what it is. And to the left of me, Stephen Joshua Bond,
Sleepy
barber
Steve.
extraordinaire. Sleepy Steven.
goodbye.
And
But
Steven.
now to you, my friend.
This dude.
Sleepy
And
Steve.
none other than the media production master of videography and cinematography,
Prestige worldwide. Wide.
Butcher Media
Oh,
Design,
yeah, baby.
John Butcher Jr.
Coming to a game near you.
Hey, with some fire flicks too.
Crispy game flicks.
You don't even gotta
We
wait
forget-
for Max Prep.
Hit
You don't
up.
even gotta wait.
Forget Max Preps,
Yeah, you
bro.
don't even gotta wait.
Bruh. Straight crispy. You had that game looking fire. Man, I was showing people the clips, and they was like, man, who was recording this?
Yeah, ain't no phone, baby.
Like, yeah. Butcher
God.
Media Design, know about it.
Tap
Know
in
about
with
it.
him.
I need to do a class. Anyways.
Classes coming soon. We got some master classes coming soon for sure.
Class.
Hey, man, make sure you guys are sharing this with your community, your sphere of influence, man. Make sure that you like and subscribe on all the platforms and
Yes.
share this with your peoples. Hey, we will see y'all next week. Next time, same time as always, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time
6
on
o'clock.
Wednesdays. Hump day. You feel me?
You feel me?
Watch Me Develop podcast. Remind you to develop or die.
Develop or
End quote,
die.
repeat the line. We'll see you when we see you. Deuces.
Adios, Eagles.